Welcome. I'm Joanna Ross. I'm the product marketing lead at CreditorWatch, and this is a webinar in our product series to help you see risk sooner by using the debtor management tools in CreditorWatch to help drive faster payments. So at CreditorWatch, I look after our product marketing, which means I help bring new products and features to market and help partner with the product team to make sure that the products we're building for you deliver value and help you achieve the outcomes you need to in your business. I'm joined today by Kay Pengelly. Kay is a senior product manager in the credit risk team at CreditorWatch, which means that she looks after the data in our credit reports, as well as how that data looks and surfaces in the CreditorWatch web application and other tools. So just a quick run through how the webinar is going to work today. We'll walk through some quick housekeeping. I'll then give you a quick overview of what debtor management is and does. I know some of you on today's webinar might already be using debtor management, and some of you might not. So it'll just be a quick refresher of how the tools work. Kay will then give us a live product demo to show not just the old features, but some newer things that have recently been released. And I will then give you a sneak peek as to what other features are coming soon. And we will have a live Q&A at the end of the session. So the session today will be around 30 minutes or so. We will be drawing for three $100 Uber Eats vouchers at the end of the webinar. So if you'd like to be in the running for that, stick around. Very exciting, free lunch. Everyone likes free lunch. If you do have a question or a comment, feel free to pop that into the Q&A at any point during the session, and we will respond at the end. And we, of course, will send you a recording of today's webinar within a couple of business days. So if you miss something or want to share it with a colleague, you'll have that as well. So what is debtor management? Those of you who are already using it, you will know this, and those of you who are newer to it, debtor management is basically a tool that's already within the CreditorWatch web application. So it is basically an at-a-glance escalation path that combines CreditorWatch risk data with your aged trial balance data from your accounting system to give you a holistic view of which debtors you might need to pay more attention to, as well as escalation workflows that help you pursue those debtors in an effective fashion. And you can also track your communication history with those customers within debtor management. As I mentioned, if you subscribe to CreditorWatch today, you already have access to debtor management. So it's not an add-on, it's not an additional subscription. It's contained within the primary CreditorWatch web portal. And we'll show you that in detail when Kay does the demo. The way debtor management rather works is it actually directly integrates with your accounting software. So at the moment, that includes Xero, MYOB, and QuickBooks, and we do have some more ERPs on the way very soon. So that automatically syncs your data. So once you've done that integration, which takes literally a couple minutes, just a couple quick clicks and you're done, it pulls that data through from your accounting software on a daily basis, so you can have that holistic risk view of where your aged debts sit. The point of all of this is that debtor management is allowing you to drive outcomes. So rather than just giving you insights, which is what CreditorWatch's credit reports and monitoring do, it's combining those risk insights with your age trial balance data to help you drive escalations and get your debtors to sit up, pay attention, and resolve their debts with you quickly. So why bother to use debtor management? Well, first of all, like I said, it's showing you not just which debts are overdue or how overdue they are and how much they're worth, but how great a risk there is to you that that customer is not going to pay that invoice because they are at a higher risk of entering a business failure event. So what that essentially allows you to do is understand whom you need to pursue and prioritize your debts by not just age or amount, but also that likelihood that that business or customer is going to enter a business failure event. So you can be a lot more judicious and deliberative about who you pursue and when. In addition, debtor management allows you to trigger escalations without having to manually draft letters or do bespoke escalation workflows. It's all built into the platform for you. So you just get the letter, download it, send it, it's all ready to go. And we'll walk through that in a lot more detail in the demo as well. The other thing about debtor management that's important to understand is it integrates directly with the CreditorWatch payment default network. Now, if you're not already familiar with that, CreditorWatch allows you to register a payment default against a business when they qualify certain criteria, such as being overdue by more than 45 days and having an invoice that's worth over $100. You can lodge that payment default from directly from within debtor management. And what that does when that happens is it notifies the entire CreditorWatch network of users and businesses that your customer has had a payment default lodged against them. That does seriously impact their credit file and poses a risk to them in terms of being able to do future business with other businesses in the CreditorWatch network. So it is a really important tool to have at your disposal to be able to compel your customers to pay attention to your invoices and resolve them quickly. Finally, the great thing about debtor management is there's virtually no setup involved. So unlike other accounting systems or accounts receivable software, it's just a quick integration that takes like under 5 minutes. It doesn't involve a coder, no coders required. You don't need copywriters or lawyers to draft the communications. That's all been done for you. So important to understand, why is debtor management different than just using CreditorWatch on its own, or just using your accounting system, or potentially another credit bureau or accounts receivable software? 3 important points. The first is that combination of the data from CreditorWatch and your accounting system. What this does is give you that more complete understanding of where your various overdue debts sit in terms of risk and what you need to pursue first. But beyond that insight, it actually gives you the tools to pursue those debtors effectively. So it provides CreditorWatch letters of demand, as well as those payment default registrations that allow you to make your customers more concerned about resolving their debt with you in a timely fashion. The second thing to understand is that debtor management is extremely easy to set up. So it's not a fully automated accounts receivable automation platform. We do actually have a product like that. It is called Collect. So if you already are managing your invoice volume fairly effectively, but you just need to add a little bit of process or firepower to your escalation workflows, debtor management is a great tool to try. If, on the other hand, you have several hundred invoices a month or more, and you're struggling to keep on top of your reminders and keep track of who you're communicating with, then you might want to look at more automation, in which case Collect might be a better fit for you. And your CreditorWatch account manager can walk you through those options and how they compare. The last thing to know about debtor management is it is adding a layer of outcome driving to a credit bureau, a traditional credit bureau. So not just credit reports, not just monitoring, but actual escalation workflows that you can analyze, execute, and track in a single place, as well as pre-filled templates that are already manual effort required from you. So how does debtor management do this? We're going to show you this live in action during the demo, but just some quick call outs as to what the key features are. Of course, those CreditorWatch authored letters of demand and reminders, those are pre-filled with all of your invoice and debtor details, and they align to the number of days overdue that invoice is. The language has been reviewed and authored by our legal team, so it is compliant and ready to go. Now, those letters also sit in a fully auditable digital paper trail. So you have a fully traceable history in the event that you do need to resolve a dispute or you do get audited. Of course, as I mentioned, debtor management integrates directly with accounting software. So there are no manual uploads to do, no coding to do, just set up the integration. And if you have a Xero, MyOb, or QuickBooks account, ready to go. More ERPs are on the way, which I'll show you at the end of today's session. Now, if you look on the right at those three buttons at the top, and Kay will explain these in more detail, that one in the middle is high risk and impaired. Those are the ones that are marked Act Now and allow you to filter all of your overdue invoices by risk. So you can identify quickly the ones that are on their way to having a business failure, but haven't already reached that point. So it's sort of that critical window between them becoming more risky and them actually failing, that you have to go after those debtors, pursue them, and make sure you resolve their debt with you before it's too late. And finally, the critical piece of the puzzle is that ability to register a payment default on CreditorWatch directly within debtor management without having to leave, search for it, ask for permission. It's all right there for you. Now, before we start the demo, I'd love to actually open up the floor to everyone on the webinar today and understand a little bit more about some of the pain points you might still have today in pursuing your payments from your customers. So we'll give you just a couple minutes to answer that question. All right, so when chasing customers for payment, it sounds like you all are feeling least confident about understanding which businesses are headed towards a failure event. That's actually something we can solve for you with debtor management. So, and Kay will show you exactly how we do that in just a moment. The second most painful part about seeking payment is being confident that you're going to get paid without having to involve an external collections agency. And that can be very cumbersome, not just having to engage and manage that relationship, but also that incurs an extra expense that erodes that margin that you're trying to get back from collecting those overdue debts. And the third most painful part about seeking payment sounds like it was getting the tone and language right in the communication. So all very important things that we need to solve, and we're going to show you how we do some of that for you today. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to my colleague Kay for the demo.
There we go. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. So a quick note before we get started, to access debtor management, you will need an active accounting integration set up in CreditorWatch as well. So if you haven't set up your Xero, your MYOB, or your QuickBooks connection yet, it just means you won't be able to see some of the screens that I'm about to demo. And if you're running into any issues with the integration, our team can help you get it sorted. So feel free to reach after the session. We'll make sure it's all up and running for you. Okay, so let's start. To introduce myself, my name is Kay. I'm a Senior Product Manager here for the Credit Risk team at CreditorWatch. And today I'm going to walk you through debtor management. Quite a few of you, I believe, are already using debtor management. Some of you in the call might be newer to it as well. So either way, what we're going to do today is we'll quickly review the basics, and we'll also show you some recent enhancements that you may not have tried yet. So to start, debtor management helps you do two things really well, and that is prioritize which invoices and customers that we should focus on first, and then after that, take the right follow-up actions quickly, and that includes that written escalation outreach when it's required. So rather than relying solely on spreadsheets or aging reports or gut feel, what debtor management can do is bring your accounting data together with our CreditorWatch risk insights in the one place so that you can focus your time where it matters most. Debtor management connects to your accounting system. So I said currently Xero, MYOB, and QuickBooks, with Dynamics, I believe, coming soon as well. And what it does is it pulls through your outstanding invoices automatically. Once that's done, what we do is we cross-reference that data with those CreditorWatch risk insights. So what that means is you can immediately understand not just the oldest or the biggest debt, but critically, which of those debtors are starting to exhibit those signs of risky behavior or experiencing some events that signal that their business might be in trouble. What you're seeing right now on my screen is the main debtor management dashboard. And this is where you can see down here your outstanding invoices grouped. You can sort them by overdue customers, the level of risk there that is associated with our CreditorWatch risk score, the level of balance overdue, and the due date status. What that means is you can sort in any way that makes sense to you and your personal processes here. I think Joanna mentioned this. There's 3 new tiles at the top here as well, which means you can sort them by total overdue. There is that high risk or impaired tab there as well. What that means, it's those customers who are having those warning signals. It's those customers that tend to fall into those higher risk brackets, and you can sort it through them. And then there's also a defaulted tab. These are the customers that have either already had a default lodged against them, or it's a customer that's already in that process of going through business failure as well. So we've got your invoices, and we're adding in that extra layer of CreditorWatch risk data to make it easy for you to prioritize those high priority invoices. I might give you an example of what this looks like as well. So what this means usually for our customers is what we've heard from a lot of customers is the natural prioritization is by days overdue. What we often see that it's not just the overdue status alone telling the full story. What that means is this gives you an opportunity to find the customers who, up until now haven't been exhibiting signs of behavior. You go in, you can cross-reference that, just make sure that you are ahead of that curve. So once you have this additional insight, you'll still need a way to pursue those riskier customers. And what we heard through talking to a lot of our customers is that reminders from Xero or MYOB often tend to go to those spam folders, or customers get used to ignoring emails because they know that they're going to get a call from the team eventually anyway. So what we set out to do with debtor management was solve the problem of how do you capture the attention of your customers and also increase their likelihood of paying? How do we get dollars back in for our customers? And with debtor management, we're offering some important tools that give you that extra leverage. So if we look over here, debtor management is providing some CreditorWatch authored dunning letters that correspond to that right point in your escalation process. If we go, I'll show you this one here. What I mean by that is you can see this customer in this demo environment. We've sent you a recommendation on what letter we recommend that you send based on how overdue they are. So this one, 90 days overdue. There are a list of letters that you can choose from that will correspond to where you are at in the process. You'll also see that the CreditorWatch logo is there as well, just adding some extra weight to the letter. Here we go. All that important information is pre-filled for you as well. So you can see on the right, we've got the number of the invoice. We've got the original due date. We've got the days overdue. We've pre-populated that for you for ease of downloading and then sending off to your customers. That being said, if you do want an additional level of personalization, you can go into this settings tab here, which is where you can update the business name, ABN, ACN, all the way to the logo, to the signature. This is where you can personalize it, make sure that tone is in line with what you'd want to send out. We've done it for you, but there's just always that extra level of personalization to make sure that it sits right with your team. And then secondly, debtor management directly integrates with CreditorWatch's payment defaults network as well. So through this process, what you can do is lodge a payment default that connects to the rest of our default, which means thousands of other businesses can see that this particular entity might be in trouble. And that means many will cease to offer credit to them as well. So it has some real world consequences that your customers are understanding and they actively want to avoid as well. So we've gone through the letters. What we can do is generate payment defaults. What we can do also here is actually send them a sign that we've lodged a payment default against them. It's worth mentioning that once a payment default is lodged against a customer, you've got around a 20% chance of recouping that back as well, and sending that official recommendation to them so they know what to expect following up there as well. It's worth talking about these letters. As Joanna said, these letters have been approved by legal, which means you don't need to draft language from scratch or engage in a lawyer to send that compliant letter. When we talk about the CreditorWatch branding, what this does help with is adding that credibility. It signals that your business is backed by that trusted credit bureau, not just an internal accounts email. And in our experience, this is changing how seriously these notices are being taken as well. But critically, it also shifts that onus of being the enforcer to CreditorWatch, where we can use that language. And that means you can continue to maintain that regular relationship that you do have with your customers. Now let's talk about what we mean by an escalation path here. So what we've got, say you've got your 7 days overdue, you can go to your 14 days overdue. That language can get more strict the more overdue it gets, especially at that end goal where you've got your payment default letter there. It shows that we're taking this quite seriously. On top of that, we can actually show the history of all of the letters that you have downloaded and sent through as well. So you've got a phenomenal audit trail there of what you've been sending to your customers, on what day, how much was overdue, and so on and so forth. So what's great about having this all in the one system here is it's contained. You know, if the first follow-ups don't get a response, we can escalate it. We can go all the way to providing a payment default, and it's, you know, sitting within that same workflow, which means from this one screen alone, you can move from the prioritization, sorting through the different invoices, to the follow-up, to the escalation, without switching those tools there as well. In terms of that new feature, I did get ahead of myself. I got quite excited here. What we did do is launch the fact that this payment default lodged. This is a new template that we've recently added in. This will only be available if you've gone through the process and lodged a payment default, and then it's that next follow-up step as well. So it's just a natural progression in that escalation process. And I think in the last month alone, we've seen that the debtor management users generated letters for over 7,300 invoices. And I think that was worth a grand total of $18 million as well. And of these, 49% of those invoices were actually paid within 7 days of generating that letter. So that's 49% of that total outstanding value. So I think to summarize here is, one thing we see a lot is that accounting systems might let you send those reminders, but they're quite easy to ignore. And there's that risk of them ending up filtering or lost. And while some credit bureaus can provide blank letter templates, what debtor management does is provide that personal customizable tool to help you prioritize, then escalate, and then send those customized situation-specific letters that convince your customers to pay up as well. One thing I'll call out, I think Joanna mentioned this as well, is debtor management is included within that CreditorWatch subscription. So there's no separate tool to buy or add. As long as that integration is active, it is available to you. So if you haven't set that up, or if you need help reauthorizing, feel free to reach out and our team can assist you. I think that's it for the demo, but I'm happy to take any questions that you might have about this experience as well.
So as I was saying, I hope that that demo by Kay gave you some insights into how you can be leveraging the tools in debtor management to help with some of those pain points we surfaced in the poll question. So you do have the ability to see which debtors are most likely to be at high risk of failing, and the ones you need to chase first. So you're maximizing your time in the most effective way possible. Now, what I'd like to do is talk about some things that you can expect to come into debtor management shortly. So one of those things, actually, we already released this month, and that's what Kay was showing you towards the end of that demo. So that's the payment default notification letter. So up until recently, you could already lodge a payment default from directly within debtor management. What we've now done is add the ability for you to communicate directly to your customer that you have lodged that default through a formal CreditorWatch authored letter. So what that letter does is tell your customer that the payment default has been lodged. It also explains very clearly what the credit impact to them is of having that default lodged against them. So as Kay explained, there are very real world consequences when a business has a payment default lodged against them in CreditorWatch, including the very high likelihood that they're going to have a lot of trouble operating and trading with other businesses that they want to get goods and services from. So it's in their best interest to resolve that default as quickly as possible, which of course includes paying the debt to you in a timely fashion. And what that letter does is make sure they understand those impacts to them and give them a clear path to resolve the debt and have the default removed from their record. What we're introducing in the next month or so is you'll actually be able to send those letters directly within CreditorWatch from Debtor Management. So that's obviously a much simpler workflow. You don't have to leave Debtor Management, go somewhere else, come back, send the letter from within CreditorWatch. You'll have the templates at your disposal, as well as being able to track the delivery status of those letters and see a full communication history. So just some insights from some of the customers who are already taking advantage of these features. Ray White Commercial is attaching the CreditorWatch logo to their arrears notices. And because of that partnership being publicized to their customers, they're noticing that their tenants are actually paying much more quickly than they had been in the past. So that CreditorWatch brand and logo really does carry weight. Businesses do understand the impact of having a black mark on their credit file on CreditorWatch, and they want to avoid that. So it's in their interest to pay your invoice if you are partnering with CreditorWatch. Kay walked through this already, but just to reiterate, when you generate a letter in Debtor Management, you have a much higher likelihood of recouping payment. So of those 7,300 invoices that were worth $18 million in April and May, when Debtor Management users generated a letter for those invoices, 49% of them were paid within 7 days of generating that letter, and half of the outstanding amount was also recouped within 7 days. Those are pretty powerful numbers that really speak to the power of just some simple tools already at your disposal that you can use to make sure your customers are understanding that they need to resolve their debt with you quickly. Another interesting point that our customers have raised is they really appreciate that when they use CreditorWatch to add extra emphasis to their reminder letters and dunning letters, that sort of removes the onus from them of being the bad guys, quote unquote. So they feel that they can remove emotion from the conversation, just point to the data, calmly explain what's going on, and have a more constructive and professional discussion with their customer. So it makes it more approachable, but they can still have that conversation and get the result that they need to. So we are at the end of our webinar. Thanks so much for hanging in with us. And now we are going to open the floor for some of your questions. So Jane has a question, which is, does the letter get sent directly from CreditorWatch's website to the debtor? So yes, Jane, as I mentioned today, the answer is no. However, very soon in the next month or so, we will be adding that capability to Debtor Management, and you will be able to send letters directly from within CreditorWatch, yes. Glenn has a question, which is, do we need to notify our customers that we're going to start using this process? That's honestly up to you. You certainly can, and if you want to use some of the talking points we've provided in this webinar to explain how the process works, you can, but there's no legal or compliance reason that I'm aware of that you would be required to do that. Kay, do you have any other thoughts? No, okay. John's question is, which account packages are you adding for Debtor Management? So John, as I mentioned, the next one that we're bringing out is for Microsoft Dynamics. So that's the 4th direct integration available on top of Xero MYOB and QuickBooks. Dynamics is next, and we will be adding more in the future as well to be announced. Nikki is wondering, how can I use this feature if my ERP is not integrated to CreditorWatch? Yeah, so Nikki, at the moment, debtor management only works with direct integration. So if you're using an alternative accounting software, we do have a couple of options, alternative options for you. One of those is called Debtor Logic. So that works through a manual upload of your data from your accounting software. We also have another tool called Collect. Collect is a fully automated accounts receivable software. It does offer direct integrations with several ERPs. It also allows you to integrate your data either through manual upload, through a CSV file, or through API integration with your accounting software. So if you want to explore those other options, I can connect you with your account manager and they can help you from there. Lots of questions. This is awesome. So Glenn is also asking, can you integrate your trial balance if you're not using one? Yes, so that was what I was just explaining. Those two alternatives are Debtor Logic and Collect if you're not using one of the ERPs currently supported by Debtor Management, but we will be expanding the number of direct integrations we offer as well. Elaine is wondering, are we planning to offer an integration with NetSuite in the future? Great question. As far as I'm aware, NetSuite is not on the product roadmap for an integration with debtor management. That said, it is on the roadmap for direct integration with Collect. So that is something that you can look out for and explore if that's of interest for you. We're just going to take one or two more questions. So Deb is wondering, if she can change the contact details in CreditorWatch for her customers. They have large jobs that can take a few months to complete, and the body corporate managers can change. I see. Deb, as long as the customer information is changed correctly in your software, in your accounting software platform, CreditorWatch will pull through that same data to debtor management. So the source of truth is actually your accounting software. If you update the data for your customers there, it will then reflect and sync back with CreditorWatch. John is wondering, are we considering adding Sage? So the answer to all of these questions is, I believe that we're considering after Dynamics what our next direct integration is going to be. I'm not fully aware of exactly which one, but when we know, we will be announcing that and sharing those plans in our monthly Innovation Roundup updates. So if you're not already receiving those Innovation Roundup emails, check with your account manager. That's where we communicate not just what we've recently released, but also what's coming soon. So that's where we would be sharing details of our plans for other direct integrations. And I think that's all our questions for today. Thanks so much for joining. Thank you to Kay and to all of you for your excellent questions and participation. Very hopeful that there was something today that you can take away and start experimenting with. We also have lots of Help Center content available to you at the link we're showing on the screen now. So if we didn't cover something today or you want to just explore a bit further, there are videos there and Help Center article tutorials to help guide you through the process of setting up the integration and exploring debtor management. And with that, have a great day, and we'll see you soon.